Grandma and the rest of the family were stunned for a moment. Then their faces lit up as it sank in that they could get everything back again. If Tyler Dawn transferred his shares to Lily, wouldn't that be the same as returning all the shares to the Jones family? Not only that, but they'd picked up an international trade company to boot. This was a great day for the Jones family. But Tyler had more to say. "My friend, there is one thing I must make clear to you first. These shares are worth $300 million. I only transfer them to you because I trust you. That's the only reason I did this." After saying this, Tyler gave Lily a smile and then turned around to look at everyone. "Don't worry, I won't let you down," Lily said nervously. "But, Mr. Dawn, there's one thing I don't understand. Why do you keep calling me friend? This is the first time we've met." A big smile suddenly appeared on Tyler's face. Before answering Lily's question, he walked over to Kevin. While everyone watched in amazement, Tyler put his hand on Kevin's shoulder. "Of course it's because you're Mr. Williams' wife," Tyler said candidly. "Mr. Williams, if you'd told me that Lily was your wife, I'd have transferred all the shares to her the last time I came here." "What? If you'd taken a break from your business now and then and stopped by to visit, you'd have met her sooner," Kevin said with a laugh. "I stand corrected," Tyler said with a friendly smile. Just then, one of Tyler's assistants walked over and whispered something in his ear. Tyler's demeanor got more serious. "Kevin, I was hoping to have dinner with you, but I need to deal with an urgent matter in New York. Unfortunately, I have to run." "Okay. Have a safe trip," Kevin replied as he shook his hand. Then Tyler headed out the door, followed by his assistants and his bodyguards. It took a long time for the Jones family to finally come back to their senses. They looked at Kevin in shock and awe. How could he be such good friends with Tyler Dawn? Lily took a deep breath and asked Kevin hesitantly, "You know Tyler Dawn?" "Yes, we're pretty good friends," Kevin answered very seriously. Then he added, "Lily, now that this issue with the shares has been taken care of, I have to go and run some errands that my boss gave me." Before Lily could ask any questions that he wasn't ready to answer yet, Kevin turned around and quickly left the mansion. Jason could barely look at Lily. No one would have thought that 60% of the family shares would end up in Lily's hands. This controlling share in the company actually made her more important than Grandma Jones. Grandma Jones looked at Lily with a worried expression and had no idea what to say. Just then, Lily's phone vibrated. It was a text from Kevin with a simple message. He told her to hang on tight to the shares and not transfer them to anyone, no matter what. But Lily really didn't need Kevin's reminder. After what happened over the past 2 days, she wasn't particularly fond of the Jones family, relatives or not. Kevin had just returned to his office at Williams Media when he got a phone call. "Yes, I'm Kevin. May I ask who this is?" Kevin asked in confusion. After all, not many people knew his personal phone number. "Hello, Mr. Williams. My name is Philip Quinn. Dominic Archer gave me your number," the man said seriously. Kevin knew right away what the man wanted. "Would you like to purchase one of my herbal pills?" "Yes, Mr. Williams. Dominic said that your pill worked miracles for him. So go ahead and name your price. I promise not to bargain with you," Quinn replied openly. "You won't bargain with me?" Kevin was surprised and thought to himself, "It sounds like I've found someone else with deep pockets." Then a smile appeared on Kevin's face. "How about this? If you're really serious, give me a call at this time tomorrow. The price will be the same as I said for Dominic Archer, $500,000. Can you afford that?" $500,000? No problem. Then it's a deal," Quinn replied happily. After hanging up the phone, Kevin had a moment of regret. Quinn didn't even flinch at $500,000. He should have probably raised the price. Just then, Miss Wilson came into the office. "Mr. Williams, you have visitors," she said excitedly. "Visitors? For me?" Kevin was stunned for a moment before he reacted. "Please, send them in." When the middle-aged couple entered the office, Kevin immediately jumped up from his chair and ran over to them. "Mom, Dad, when did you get to Chicago?" Kevin was so excited. He gave them a hug and said, "Please have a seat." Miss Wilson watched the reunion from the doorway and then quietly slipped out of the office. "Kevin, I heard from your uncle that he put Williams Media under your name. I came to see for myself," Alan Williams said happily. Before Kevin could answer, his mother, Susan Williams, asked him, "Kevin, are you really the CEO of Williams Media now?" "Yes, Mom and Dad. I've been helping the company a lot, so Uncle Thomas put me in charge," Kevin said humbly. Then he offered cheerfully, "Hey, now that you're here, why don't you stay in Chicago? I bought an enormous penthouse apartment at the top of Corwin Tower. There's plenty of room for all of us." After Kevin was pushed out by the family, Alan and Sue went back to their old house in the country. Kevin hadn't seen them in almost a year. Alan and Sue looked at each other and nodded in agreement. "That sounds fine. But we don't want to put you out. We can always find an apartment," Alan said. Then Sue spoke up and said, "But actually, we came to tell you some good news. Your cousin Monty Aspinwall is getting married in New York tomorrow." Before Sue could finish, Kevin's phone rang. It was his Uncle Thomas. He accepted the call and heard his uncle's calm voice.
"Hi, Kevin. Are you free tomorrow?"
"Sure, Uncle Thomas. What's going on?" Kevin asked curiously.
"It's like this. Your cousin is getting married tomorrow, so I'd like to invite you back into the family as a guest,"
Uncle Thomas said cheerfully. "Of course. I'll definitely come," Kevin said excitedly. Then they discussed the details for a minute before saying goodbye. "Did your uncle just invite you to attend Monty's wedding?" Alan asked him with a smile. "Yes, he did. Let's all go there together," Kevin said happily. In the entire family, except for his parents, Monty was the one who had the best relationship with Kevin. In fact, when Kevin was pushed out of the family, Monty was the first one to speak up in his defense. Unfortunately, not many people listened to what Monty had to say. "That's a great idea," Alan answered as he looked at Kevin with a pleased expression. "We'll let you get back to work now. Your father and I haven't been to the city in a long time. We're going to take a walk," Susan said with a smile. Then Alan and Susan headed out to spend the day walking around downtown Chicago. After his parents left, Kevin asked Miss Wilson to buy him a suit. He didn't forget to ask her to choose a gift for the newlyweds. The next morning, Kevin and his parents headed to Midway Airport to take the company jet to New York. The flight only took a couple of hours, and Miss Wilson, with her usual efficiency, had arranged for them to be picked up in a company limo to go to the Williams family mansion. They arrived a little early, but there were already countless luxury cars parked in front. Everywhere you looked, there was someone famous or influential coming and going from the mansion. Monty, who had been standing at the entrance welcoming the guests, brightened up immediately when he saw Kevin.
"Kevin, you're finally here. I've been waiting for you."
Monty grinned as he gave Kevin a big hug. "I missed you too," Kevin said as he slapped his cousin on the back. Then Monty noticed Alan and Susan Williams, who had come along with Kevin.
"Uncle Alan, Aunt Susan,"
Monty called out happily. "Monty, it's been such a long time. You're getting more and more handsome," Susan said with a smile.
"Thank you for the compliment, Aunt Susan."
Monty was a little embarrassed. Then he turned to his fiancée and took her by the hand.
"Hannah, let me introduce you to more of my family. This is Cousin Kevin, Uncle Alan, and Aunt Susan."
Alan asked, "Isn't it bad luck to see the bride before the wedding?" "Oh, we're not superstitious," Hannah answered calmly. Then she shook each of their hands. Kevin nodded politely and smiled as he called her Cousin Hannah. Although this was the first time he'd met her, he could tell that she was intelligent and witty.
"Kevin, my dad and the rest of the family are waiting in the main hall,"
Monty said anxiously. "Oh, of course. You have a lot of other guests to greet. We'll head in and take a seat," Kevin said in an understanding tone of voice. As he looked at the big ornate front door of the mansion, Kevin started to get a little emotional. He vividly remembered the last time he walked out this door a few years ago. His father patted him on the shoulder and said, "Kevin, that's all in the past now. Let's live in the present and look toward the future." "You're right, Dad," Kevin said sincerely. When Kevin and his family walked into the reception hall, Uncle Thomas was greeting the guests warmly. When he saw Kevin, Thomas immediately put down his wine glass and walked over with a big smile.
"Kevin, I'm so glad you could make it."
Then Thomas looked at Alan and Susan.
It's good to see you finally made it back.
It's been a few years, hasn't it? Monty's wedding seemed like a good opportunity to reconnect. Alan's tone was a little sad.
Alan, please don't blame Dad and our uncle for what happened back then. They have their own troubles now.
Thomas naturally understood why his brother was feeling like this. Just as Kevin was about to say something to liven up the atmosphere, he heard a sharp voice. I was wondering who this big shot was. I see the three of you made it to Monty's wedding. When are you leaving? Laura Williams said coldly.
Laura, what did you just say? I called Alan and his family to personally invite them back.
Thomas was very disappointed in his wife. Laura didn't understand what had happened with Kevin as well as her husband Thomas did. When the Williams family was facing a financial crisis, Grandpa Williams had personally sent his son Thomas a message. He was to make a special trip to Chicago to find Kevin and ask for forgiveness. That's when Kevin agreed to invest his fortune in the Williams family business. So technically speaking, even the Williams mansion belonged to Kevin now. In other words, if Kevin felt like it, he could easily bankrupt the entire Williams family. What are you talking about? They have the nerve to come back today after everything they did? Laura said spitefully. Their good little boy Kevin is even worse. He went off and married into another family, mooching off of them for 3 years. Laura's ranting drew the attention of a lot of the guests. Kevin and his parents were starting to get pissed off. Laura turned her nose up at Kevin and said, Don't think you can come in here acting all fancy just because you're in charge of Williams Media. Everyone knows that you're only in that position because Thomas took pity on you. The family has lots of other businesses. We don't need that one at all. Then Ethan Williams, Kevin's cousin and the son of Thomas and Laura, stepped out from the crowd and said,
Kevin, you got a lot of nerve coming here today.
Laura chimed in. You're an embarrassment to the entire family. Why don't you just go back to Chicago?
Lauren, Ethan, shut up. Don't do this in front of all the guests.
Thomas whispered to the two of them. Then he turned around and said,
Kevin, Alan, please don't pay any attention to them. They've already had too much to drink.
But by now, Kevin was insulted. Alan was so angry that his chest was heaving up and down, and Susan was so repulsed that she was starting to look pale. What's wrong with you, Thomas? How can you help these outcasts? Laura complained. So far, the wedding wasn't off to a great start. Would Thomas be able to do anything at all to turn things around?
Hi guys, Kevin here. Listen to full episodes of Insta Empire exclusively on the Pocket FM app. Click the link in the description to install the app now.